Look at the companies running the world today. Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia. We treat them like untouchable empires. But what if I told you there was a company that used to possess a monopoly so absolute? It made today's tech giants look like small startups. They literally invented the hard drive, the ATM, the barcode you scan at the grocery store, and the magnetic stripe on your credit card. They didn't just participate in the tech industry, they were the tech industry. For decades, the saying on Wall Street was, nobody ever got fired for buying IBM. Yet today, in the middle of the greatest technological boom in human history, they are almost invisible to the average consumer. IBM didn't go bankrupt. They didn't crash overnight. They did something much worse. Through sheer arrogance and a series of catastrophic blind spots, they slowly surrendered a trillion-dollar empire. This is the story of the most expensive mistake in corporate history, and how the company that built the future forgot to own it. To understand how a monopoly bleeds out, we have to go back to 1980. IBM, the undisputed king of massive corporate mainframes, decided to enter the new personal computer market. But they operated under one fatal, arrogant assumption. They believed the real money would always be in the hardware, the physical metal and plastic box. In a massive rush to get their PC to the market in under a year, IBM broke their own rules. Instead of building everything in-house, they outsourced the internal components. They went to a company called Intel for the microprocessors, and they hired a tiny, relatively unknown startup to provide the operating system. That startup was called Microsoft, led by a 25-year-old Bill Gates. And here lies the trillion-dollar blunder. IBM didn't demand exclusive rights to that software, known as MS-DOS. They simply licensed it. They thought the software was just a cheap accessory required to sell their expensive machines. They were dead wrong. The moment the IBM PC launched and became a massive hit, a terrifying reality set in. Rivals realized they could build cheaper IBM-compatible clones using the exact same Intel chips and the exact same Microsoft software. IBM didn't just invite the Trojan Horse inside. They built it, financed it, and handed over the keys. By commoditizing the hardware, they birthed the PC revolution, but handed the crown entirely to Microsoft and Intel. Fast forward to the early 1990s, and the bill for that arrogance came due. By prioritizing their high-margin mainframes over the booming PC revolution, IBM had built a bureaucracy so thick it couldn't adapt. In 1993, the unthinkable happened. The untouchable tech god reported a loss of $8 billion. At the time, it was the largest single-year corporate loss in American history. Wall Street was ready to read the obituary. The company was paralyzed. The board's plan was to chop IBM up into smaller, independent pieces, the baby blues, because they believed a massive integrated tech company could no longer survive. Desperate, they brought in an outsider, a man named Lou Gerstner. He wasn't a tech visionary, he wasn't an engineer, he was the former CEO of RJR Nabisco, a company famous for selling cookies and cigarettes. Bringing in a cookie executive to run the world's most complex tech firm sounded insane. But Gerstner did the exact opposite of what Wall Street expected. He stopped the breakup of the company. He realized that while hardware was becoming cheap, corporate clients were drowning in complexity. They didn't need just boxes, they needed someone to make all the tech work together. Gerstner aggressively slashed costs, changed the suffocating corporate culture, and ruthlessly pivoted IBM away from just selling hardware and toward IT services, software and consulting. He saved Big Blue from the brink of death. The bleeding stopped. But while IBM survived the 90s, the battle scars left them too cautious for the revolution that was about to hit in the 2000s. As the 2000s rolled in, IBM was safe, profitable, and consulting for the world's biggest corporations. But in technology, safety is the enemy of innovation. While IBM was perfectly comfortable, two tidal waves were forming that would change human history: the smartphone and the cloud. Amazon, which everyone thought was just an online bookstore, launched AWS in 2006. They started literally renting out cheap server space to startups. IBM looked at this and scoffed. Why sell cheap cloud space to kids in garages when you can lock governments and banks into multi-million-dollar contracts? By the time IBM realized the entire internet was moving to the cloud, Amazon and Microsoft had already built the infrastructure of the future. So how did a company full of brilliant engineers completely miss the cloud revolution? Because of a Wall Street disease called financial engineering. IBM leadership made a deadly, arrogant promise to investors. They guaranteed they would hit $20 in earnings per share by 2015. To hit that magic number, they didn't invent the next big thing. Instead, they spent over $140 billion buying back their own stock. They artificially manipulated the stock price to trigger massive executive bonuses, systematically starving their own research and development. They literally sacrificed their future to pay for the present. The result? A lost decade. IBM's revenue shrank for 22 consecutive quarters. So is IBM dead? Well, not even close. They just stopped trying to be the cool kid. Today, IBM is a $170 billion behemoth that runs the unseen plumbing of the global economy. 90% of all global credit card transactions touch an IBM system. They bought Red Hat for $34 billion to dominate the hybrid cloud, and they are quietly building some of the most advanced quantum computers on the planet. And while everyone is losing their minds over consumer AI chatbots, IBM's watsonx is silently securing multi-million-dollar contracts with banks, insurance companies, and governments. Clients who care about military-grade data security, not writing high school essays. IBM survived by retreating to their fortress, the boring, highly profitable B2B sector. But the lesson of IBM isn't just about survival, it's a terrifying warning for today's investors. The market is unforgiving. If you stop innovating, if you prioritize financial engineering and stock buybacks over building the future, you will lose your empire. Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, none of them are immune. The moment they become arrogant, there is a new startup waiting in a garage, ready to hand them their own trillion-dollar mistake. Thanks for watching WestInvest. Hit subscribe if you want to understand the real stories behind the money, and I'll see you in the next one.